welcome back to For Love and Justice. I'm your host, Elise Williams-Reichard. I know it's been a minute. I've been overwhelmed, depressed. A lot's been going on, and I've been trying to record this podcast for a couple months now. So we have quite a bit to go over. I'm going to cover shit you might have missed. I plan to start doing this weekly so that it's not so much. It's just little nuggets of information. But yeah, we're gonna go back the past couple months because a lot of shit has happened. So here's some shit you might have missed.
Shit you might have missed.
Okay, so I'm gonna start dividing up this podcast into the love portion and the justice portion because this is for love and justice. We cover politics, the justice of it all, but we also cover mental health, relationships, friendships, family dynamics, hobbies, neurodivergence, all of the love. So we'll get to the justice portion in just a minute, but as far as the love, I have a book recommendation or two. I recently went to Secret Nook Coffee and Books in Conway, and they had a signed copy of We Are Animals by Jennifer Case. It's a phenomenal book. It is a one you want to clear your schedule and really sit with and absorb and feel. And then I also wanted to talk about another book that I discovered a couple weekends ago at a little thing called Author Fest, which was held at the Pickles Gap Village, or the Village at Pickles Gap, in between Conway and Greenbrier. Malia and I were featured authors for our books, You Goal Girl, Common Sense, and Life Unplugged. I have these two right here. Common Sense and Life Unplugged. Common Sense actually was the most popular of the day. And these babies are available everywhere you can buy books. But that's not my recommendation. My recommendation is Heir of Illusion by Madeline Taylor. I met this author at Author Fest. She was lovely, and this book, she promised me, it has enemies to lovers. It's fantasy romance. There's an assassin, bad boys. I said I'm sold. So I'm reading that right now. That is my current read. And it's juicy and it's very beautifully written. So if you love fantasy romance, if you're a fan of enemies to lovers, check it out. Okay, so more love. So it's no secret that I did not love Selena Gomez's new album with her fiance, Benny Blanco. It was okay. It was mediocre. If you want to see my review, maybe I'll put the box somewhere up here. I probably won't, but it's on my channel. But while the album might not have been like the best, I am really enjoying, I was annoyed at first. I'm annoyed by like anything Selena Gomez does. And so when she's like just flaunting her relationship around and giving all these TMI details, it's an eye roll for me. But some of the interviews where Benny was speaking came across my TikTok, and he actually seems quite emotionally intelligent, and he had some good things to say about relationships, and particularly men not listening enough in relationships, because he says, quote, "A woman is going to tell you exactly what she needs." And as Selena points out, it goes both ways. Both parties need to listen. But he's not wrong. A woman will always tell you what she needs. I like to say it's the golden ticket. I'm giving you the golden fucking ticket. Take it, please. So yeah, check that out. Maybe don't check out their album, but some of the interviews are worth listening to. It's nice to hear an emotionally intelligent man talk about relationships and give relationship advice That's actually helpful and relevant. And more love, Kelly Clarkson is starting her own record label. She's still maintaining connections with Atlantic Records. Her new project will support both her own music and up-and-coming talent in the industry. There's not too much info out there about this yet, but I will keep you posted. I'm very excited about this. I've been saying forever that I wish Taylor Swift would do something like this. And maybe she's just not, you know, she's still killing the game, so why would she? But could be a lot of money to be made, and she could make positive changes in the industry, and that's what I hope Kelly Clarkson is going to do. Okay, so now we have the justice. If you aren't glued to the news 24/7, congrats, you have your priorities in order. I don't. I stay mentally unwell so that I can filter through all the bullshit and bring y'all the need-to-knows. So we're going to go through the high points and the low points of the shit you might have missed. So the high points. We'll start out on a high note. Cory Booker broke a racist's record for longest speech on the Senate floor. The record was previously held by segregationalist Strom Thurmond. Booker spoke for 25 hours, and he says he did not eat for days leading up to his speech, which some might say this is performative. Some have said that. That's fair. Most of what goes on in DC is performative, and I could totally see that point. But it is, I wanted to note that, you know, he didn't eat for days leading up to his speech. He cut off drinking water at a certain point before because he couldn't even go to the bathroom for 25 hours. People were asking if he wore a diaper and things like that, which reminded me of the Grey's Anatomy episode where they do try out wearing diapers so they can get through a surgery without peeing. Random info. So I do just think there is something to, he kind of put his body on the line for democracy. He then went on to vote in a way I didn't like after. So, Cory Booker is still Cory Booker. He's still gonna Cory Booker. But broke a racist record. And that's no small feat. In other high points, Georgia dropped charges against a woman arrested for miscarriage after public backlash. You can read the full story at abortioneveryday.com. That is where I heard about it first. And thank God, because I was following this and this was really scary. I won't get too into the sauce, but apparently a woman miscarried. They found her passed out by where she had disposed of the remains. And it just brings up a whole conversation of, well, what are you supposed to do if that happens? So, good that Georgia dropped those charges, because that was very scary that a woman could be charged for her body miscarrying. Low points. Okay, this was a low point for me. Some might consider it a high point, but Katy Perry and her glam squad went to space. Katy Perry, Gayle King, Jeff Bezos's wife, who looks like an alien. I'm just gonna fucking say it. And the whole thing was cringe. I think it could have been like fine if they had been more self-aware about, like, this is a joyride. This is performative feminism. When we talk about performative, this is actually performative. Sending Katy Perry to space, Katy Perry holding a daisy and talking about how life-changing this was for her. And then Gayle King, who's an actual journalist. So this is all just very confusing. But Gayle King then got mad at people who called it performative and called it a joyride. Gayle said, I wish people would do more due diligence. And then my question is, have y'all been to space? Go to space or go to Blue Origin and see what they do, and then come back and say, this is a terrible thing. This reeks of privilege. Because no, Gayle, we have not been to space. We're trying to afford our groceries. Moving on. That's all I have to say about that is eggs. Fucking eggs. In other news, Media Matters found that 72% of apolitical content is actually right-leaning. Missouri wants to create a registry to track pregnant women. Bill 807, the Save Missouri Babies Act, proposes a central registry of pregnant women deemed at risk for seeking an abortion. The bill's author calls it, quote, eHarmony for babies. Do I even have to spell it out? This is a privacy infringement. I know lots of people don't want gun registries, but you want a registry of women? It's giving control. It's giving privacy infringement. Okay, and next we have the SAVE Act, which I have been pounding the alarm about for months now, because as a married woman, it directly impacts my right to vote. A married woman who changed her name, I should say, which is a choice. It's not a choice men have to face, and it is a choice that has natural consequences if women choose not to change their name. I'll just say for me, I had to jump through a million hoops to change my name. It was not easy, and you have to change it a million fucking places. It was a choice I made, and because of that choice, I feel like I am more accepted by society. And it's not an awkward conversation when, you know, I'm at a dinner party and I'm introducing my husband and myself. No one calls my husband Mr. Williams. It's Mr. and Mrs. Reichard. Don't even get me started on Mrs. versus Ms. Men don't have to change their surname. They are not defined by their marital status, but women are. They're trying to create registries to track us. And we're defined by our marital status. I digress. The SAVE Act. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility SAVE Act. Did I finish my tangent, actually? Because I was going to say the natural consequences of a choice. Because, yeah, we have a choice, whatever. Change your name, don't change your name. At the end of the day, I was like, it's just a name. What's in a name? I want to match my children. And Reichard is cool. Like, why not? It's my husband's last name. But women who don't change their last names go through hell. I will just say that. And so society very much expects us to change our last names. When we don't, we face those consequences, the social judgment and pressures. And for those of us who did change their name, made that choice, now we are having to jump through even more hoops to be able to vote. So the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, known as the SAVE Act, was introduced by Texas Republican Representative Chip Roy. And it seeks to amend the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 by requiring individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Critics, however, contend that the incidence of non-citizen voting is exceptionally rare and that the SAVE Act could disenfranchise millions of eligible voters, around 70 million specifically. Notably, research indicates that up to 34% of voting-age women lack documents proving citizenship with their current legal name, often due to name changes after marriage. The legislation may disproportionately impact people of color, young voters, and low-income individuals who may not readily possess the required documentation. And when we talk about the required documentation, you will need a passport. If you got a military ID, Gucci. I've heard conflicting things on whether those apply or not. But yeah, if your legal name does not match your birth certificate, you will need a passport. The bill directs states to establish a process for applicants to provide additional documentation to establish that the applicant is a citizen in the event of a discrepancy with respect to the applicant's documentary proof of United States citizenship. The Brennan Center writes that the bill would functionally eliminate mail registration because it requires people to present documentary proof of citizenship in person. CLC says the act imposes, quote, unnecessary barriers to the registration process, noting that most voters could not use their driver's license alone to register. Enhanced driver's licenses, which demonstrate citizenship, are only available in 5 states. So while Real ID is available, it's a federal, like across the board, every state has it, only 5 states actually demonstrate citizenship on the Real ID. 5 states also issue enhanced driver's licenses, EDLs, that function as Real ID. These states are Michigan, Minnesota, New York, Vermont, and Washington. These EDL cards are specifically designed for use for land and sea travel between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. So the Brennan Center says married women who have changed their last names, young voters, and voters of color are more likely to have problems accessing necessary documentation, the Brennan Center says. So, and that's, I have been trying to figure out as well, it's sounding like it's for voter registration. So for those of us who are already registered with our married names, should be fine. Jury's out, really not sure. But for those who are about to get married, will get married in the next few years. I mean, no one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. You might get married. You might have to change your name for some other reason. You might just want to change your name. I never used my first name, so I just tried to smack that off. And that's why I had to jump through a lot of hoops as well when I changed my name. But it's my name. Anyway, I digress. If you're going through a name change, anything like that, if you're having to re-register, or if you haven't registered, because that's the other thing, we have such low voter registration and voter turnout in this country. This is only going to suppress the vote even more. We should be making it easier to vote, not harder to vote, in my humble opinion. But long story short, get your passport. I'm getting my passport right now. I know I don't have one. I'm behind. But I'm getting my passport now. So get your passport. Make sure you are able to vote, because the SAVE Act is going to make it a little harder. Medicare no longer covers telehealth as of April 1st. Trump wrote on social media, quote, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." This also came around the same time that he, the White House, whatever, posted an AI image of Trump as king. So just to give some context. Trump also has frozen cancer research and momentarily froze Medicaid, making insane cuts. And since I wrote this outline, he's made more cuts. Trump also signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. I will do an entire podcast breaking down what the Department of Education does and doesn't do, because I think a lot of people are confused about it. But yeah, and lots of people have been laid off. Lots of cuts. The Trump administration, the champions of free speech, are also banning an extremely long list of words from the federal government agencies in the name of anti-wokeness. So I'm pulling up a list of words right now. There are many. Among them, black, breastfeed, clean energy, DEI, of course, gender's gone. Feminism, female's gone. Gulf of Mexico is gone. Pollution, political, victim, women, oppression. Pregnant people. Historically, the word historically is banned. I fucking can't, y'all. Elon Musk has also been threatening federal workers. He sent out an email. This was a while back, I believe last month. But it was hilarious. He sent out, it was terrifying for those who got the email, but hilarious to watch the reactions come in real time. So Elon Musk said, consistent with President Trump's instructions, all federal employees will shortly receive an email requesting to understand what they got done last week. Failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. And then Minnesota Senator Tina Smith responded, quote, "This is the ultimate dick move from Musk, except he isn't even the boss, he's just a dick. I hate to break it to you, but you aren't my boss. I answer to the people of Minnesota. But since you bring it up, I spent last week fighting to stop tax breaks for billionaires like you, paid for by defunding health care for moms and babies. Period. Queen shit." And then I wanted to break down Elon Musk and Doge's cuts. You know, all the waste, fraud, and abuse they've been discovering. So foreign aid, cut that. That made up 1% of our budget. Department of Education, you know, there's been lots of cuts there. That makes up 3% of our budget. The entire federal workforce makes up 6% of our budget. And then defense makes a whopping 13%, but there have been no cuts made there. I also want to note the U.S. is the world's largest military spender. In 2023, the U.S. spent $880 billion on its military, which is more than the next 8 countries combined. Sit on that. Also, the Pentagon has failed 7 consecutive audits, yet budget increased from 11 to 13% from 2021 to 2025.
What the hook is going down in Arkantown?
Okay, so now we're going to do a little segment that I like to call What the Huck is Going Down in Arkantown. So we're going to follow the same, good news, bad news spiel. So the good news is that Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed free school breakfast into law. Surprised, but I'll take it. So free school breakfast begins fall 2025 semester. That's the only good news. The bad news, the Learns voucher application portal. If you missed this was mind-boggling. So the Learns voucher, we all know about Learns. The application portal gave people an option to apply for public money so they could find, quote, a different racial mix of students for their child. I am going to link this in the show notes. Arkansas Times reported about it and did a really great job investigating that. The option was removed after 6 hours of being live, but not before. I wish I had the actual statistic. I can't believe I didn't put it down. But a significant portion of people picked that option, which is disturbing. But yeah, you can read more about it in the Arkansas Times, so I'll link that. And then bad bills alert. I need to have a little like, woo, woo, woo. SB 184 would abolish the Arkansas State Library Board and the Arkansas Educational Television Commission and transfer those powers and authorities to the Arkansas Department of Education. This has passed, so this is happening. The Arkansas State Library Board is currently in charge of overseeing public libraries and dispersing funds. The Arkansas Educational Television Commission, I don't know why that's tripping me up, oversees Arkansas's PBS programs. Both boards are already under the Arkansas Department of Education, but act independently. And like I said, that has passed, that is happening. Still call your representatives. So yeah, what can we do about it? Download 5 Calls. If you haven't heard of 5 Calls, it's amazing. Go download it. They literally they have every issue you could think of to choose from, including the SAVE Act. And you click on that, it gives you a script, it gives you your local representative's contact information, so you can call them, you can leave a voicemail. We also need to email them. We need to flood the phone lines, flood all lines of communication, let them know, make our voices heard. You can also attend local school board meetings and Senate hearings to make your voice heard. Okay, guys, that's the show. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I want to leave you with one final question that you can answer in the YouTube comments if you're over here on YouTube. So how do you feel about all the change in the air? And what are you doing about it? I want to know. Okay, guys. Bye.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.